How are we supposed to interpret myths? Do we interpret them literally and think of them as disguised history? Or should we explain them symbolically and understand them as containing coded messages about the cosmos, the natural world, or ourselves? Let's look at 9 theories of how we can interpret mythology from around the world. On the literal side of things, we'll start at the theory of EUHEMERISM. Named for the Greek philosopher Euhemerus, this theory states that mythological gods and goddesses were actual, historical human figures. For example, the Greek god Zeus may represent the chief of an ancient warrior tribe. His victory over the Titans and Giants could symbolize how nomadic tribes from the north swept south into Greece, conquering and eventually blending with the other tribes that originally lived there. Zeus's thunderbolts could symbolize the spears or other weapons that this ancient chief wielded in battle. After death, these larger-than-life heroes were deified by their descendants, becoming gods and goddesses to be worshipped. Myths can also serve as an allegory of natural processes or events. There's no doubt that the gods of ancient religions had power over nature. In Greek mythology, each god typically controls his or her own domain. Zeus had power over rain, thunder, and lightning. His older brother Poseidon could tame or enrage the ocean. The underworld god Hades and his Roman counterpart Pluto were seen as gods of wealth, because they possessed dominion over caverns and mines full of gemstones and precious metals. The gods were worshipped because by winning their favor, one would be blessed with safe travels, fertility, and wealth. More interestingly, myths sometimes appear to be coded stories of real historical events. Let's look at the creation story of the Aymara people, who inhabit the South American countries of Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, and Peru. According to their tradition, the snow god Kun, angry at human beings, covered the earth with ice. After Kun's wrath dissipated and the Ice Age ended, the fertility gods restored the earth with a new race of people. It's an interesting myth in its own right, but it's curious that it aligns with the global ice age that started 2.4 million years ago and ended only 12,000 years ago. Mythology could also have served as a mnemonic device or reminder for ancient people to easily recall important information. The myth of Persephone, Demeter, and Hades would have been important for farming societies in ancient Greece. In the myth, Hades is captivated by the beauty of Persephone, the daughter of the fertility goddess Demeter. He decides to abduct her and bring her to his underworld kingdom. On the surface, Demeter grows sorrowful and enraged because her beloved daughter has gone missing. In her anger, she covers the world in ice, causing crops to die and humans to starve. Although Persephone marries Hades, she agrees to spend half of the year with her mother Demeter. For this half of the year, Demeter is happy, and we mortals enjoy the bounty of spring and summer. However, for the other half, Persephone descends to the underworld to be with her husband. Demeter's anger returns, and we suffer the harshness and barrenness of autumn and winter. This myth would have provided indispensable wisdom for the agricultural communities that had to prepare for winter. Ancient philosophers had great difficulty reconciling the moral precepts of their religions to the acts their gods committed in mythology. In myth, the gods often committed theft, adultery, and even murder. The philosophers got around this by saying that the actions of the gods were not to be taken literally. Instead, they hid deep philosophical truths about the universe. This method of interpretation is known as allegory. When Zeus swallowed Metis, it should not be taken as a license to commit cannibalism. Rather, it symbolizes the union of power, in the form of Zeus, with wisdom, in the form of Metis, and that a powerful leader must be wise in order to become truly great. Related to allegory is the notion that myths contain hidden moral truths. For example, the story of Venus and Adonis could be seen as a fable illustrating the importance of husbands listening to their wives. In the myth, Venus warns her lover Adonis not to go hunting, but he leaves anyway. During his hunt, he is maimed and killed by a boar. Adonis would have lived a full life had he only listened to his better half. This form of interpretation was popular in the Middle Ages, as writers and poets could retell these ancient tales without provoking the Christian Church. The gods and goddesses were not worshipped, so as to not incur the charge of idolatry. And only myths with clear-cut morals were retold. More mature myths full of adultery and murder were avoided so as to not scandalize the community. Myths have also been used as the justification for real-world social structures. Customs, laws, and even governments are sometimes tied back to a long-standing cultural story, which both explains and justifies its continued existence. These types of myths are referred to as charter myths, and we see them throughout history at the founding of nations and empires. The Roman emperors trace their line of succession back to Romulus, the mythical founder and first emperor of the Eternal City. According to mythology, Romulus was fathered by the god of war Mars, and this justified their imperialist and expansionist manifesto. Once Rome turned to Christianity and became the epicenter of the Catholic Church, the popes also traced their lineage back to St. Peter, who is considered the first pope. The basis of this belief can be found in biblical scripture, as Christ tells the apostle Peter that he is the rock upon which the church shall be built, that it shall be granted the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and that hell shall not prevail against it. Similar to Rome, the ancient Middle Eastern city of Babylon was another eternal city, whose creation was the direct will of the gods. In the creation story, the Enuma Elish, all of Babylonian society, including its hierarchical social structure, its rich agricultural industry, and even the humans that inhabited it, were created with one express purpose: to serve and worship the gods. We'll get into more theories in just a minute, but if you're enjoying this so far, please be sure to give this video a like. Also, consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. We'll be diving deeper into each of these theories on this channel, using examples from all around the world. Alright, let's get on with it. Moving more into the spiritual realm now, we see that there is a close relationship between major religious festivals and scripture. Many festivals often have their basis in the holy texts of various religions. Christmas and Easter are obvious examples, as these festivals celebrate the birth and resurrection of Jesus Christ, respectively. The Hindu festival of Diwali, in addition to being the festival of lights and symbolizing the victory of light over darkness and good over evil, has a scriptural basis as well. In the Ramayana, the prince Ram was exiled from his city of Ayodhya for 14 years, due to the plotting of his stepmother Kaikeyi, who wished to put her own son on the throne. During Ram's exile, his wife Sita is captured by a king of demons named Ravan. A great war ensues. After Ram's victory, he is able to return home and assume his rightful place as king. The lights of Diwali symbolize how the ancient people of Ayodhya lit the way back home for Ram and Sita after their harrowing adventures in exile. While religious festivals can be seen as public celebrations of events depicted in religion and mythology, myths can also represent the process of religious ritual, whereby an individual or small group of people undergo a personal spiritual transformation. In general, the person taking part in a ritual goes through 3 phases: separation, in which they leave behind the former old way of life; transition, where they pass into a new phase of life; and incorporation, where they are welcomed back into the community as a new person with a new identity and new roles. In the mystery religions of ancient Greece and Rome, those wishing to be initiated into cults to specific gods would have to undergo a series of secret religious rituals. The Eleusinian Mysteries were initiation rites for the cult of Demeter and Persephone. The mysteries reenacted the myth of Persephone's abduction by Hades. The 3 phases of separation, transition, and incorporation corresponded to Persephone's descent into the underworld, Demeter's discovery of what happened to her daughter, and Persephone's ascent and reunion with her mother. To the cult of Demeter, this story symbolized the eternity of life through death and rebirth. Mythology is no doubt used as a way to encounter the unknown. to make contact with the mysteries greater than ourselves. It could be God, the cosmos, the afterlife, or even the depths of the human psyche. The psychoanalyst Carl Jung believed that myth revealed the innermost workings of our mind. Because of the recurring character archetypes and symbols that can be found in myth throughout the world, Jung believed that all of humanity drew inspiration from a psychic realm known as the collective unconscious. Through myth, meditation, and dreams, one could discover hidden aspects of their personality. To Jung, myth was therefore a way to integrate various facets of oneself. And that brings us to the end of our list. As you can see, there are many methods to interpret mythology, and none are necessarily more correct than any other. Certain myths lend themselves more easily to certain interpretations, such as the myth of Persephone and Hades being about summer and winter. But it's also possible to interpret that myth using multiple techniques. We could have just as easily interpreted it through a psychological or ritualistic lens. What theories most resonated with you? Or do you have any other methods of interpreting mythology that weren't covered in this video? If so, leave a comment below and let me know. Alright everyone, that's all I have for today. We'll dive deeper into each of these theories in future videos, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.